Hello, friends. My name is Jason Jefferies, and I am the new program coordinator for the Music Maker Foundation. And today I'm speaking with the founders and directors of Music Maker Foundation, Tim Duffy and Denise Duffy. How are you doing today?
Doing great.
Yeah, we're terrific.
Fantastic, as am I. I'm happy to be in the Music Maker Foundation office this week for the first time. Started yesterday on April Fool's Day, and no, that is not a joke. I'm really here, as you can see these beautiful photographs behind me. Today, we're going to be talking about the 30-year anniversary of the start of the Music Maker Foundation. Congratulations on this fantastic milestone, 30 years. I'm sure you can't believe it. I'm sure it seems like the time has flown by. My question first for you, Tim, is how did Music Maker Foundation start 30 years ago? What was the origin of this wonderful foundation?
Um, you know, it was in 1994, and from 91 to 94, I was running around with Guitar Gabriel, a bluesman in Winston-Salem, and he introduced me to a wonderful cadre of blues artists: Willem A. Buckner, Captain Luke, Willem A. Buckner, Mr. Q, Michael Vine Hayes, Jehu Rory, Preston Fulp, John D. Holman back there, and we were running around doing shows, and I was recording these artists and trying to do gigs, and I really realized we were doing a lot of gigs, playing all over the place, but they were too old to tour all the time, and there was no real place for them in the music industry. And I realized there was never a place for these artists in the music industry ever. The folk artists were just, folklorists like me, and small record companies just, took what they wanted. And I just came from a folklore background. I thought there needed to be a new model how to interact with folk culture. And I had a great family friend named Mark Levinson, who's a great audio pioneer. You might have heard of him in Lexus cars. He heard my tapes when I'm on a visit to New York, and he took me to the CES Consumer Electronics Show. He had $1 million stereo system called Cello, and he um, he remastered my sets, and he made this book called a Patron Sampler, a Living Past. And it wasn't even made, and he sold these things for $100 a piece. And we raised $20,000 that weekend, and we made this booklet and sent it out. So that he came up with the name Music Maker Foundation, and I had a great lawyer. We founded the 501(c)(3), and I had a great partner with Gabe and these guys. We started making records, and with that first bit of money, I think the first money I bought was a classic blues thing. It was a new pair of shoes for Gabe. His shoes were worn out. So we bought some shoes, and then we started buying Ensure. It's like a liquid nutrition drink that, a lot of these guys were malnourished. And then it was winter time, and people didn't have electricity and for heat. And we started doing sustenance grants for people to have heat in the wintertime. And those three programs we started 30 years ago, sustenance, where, a lot of people I found out didn't have money to keep food on the table. So their guitars and instruments were in the pawn shop. So a little money every month would keep their instrument out of the pawn shop, and they would start playing, and they have an opportunity for professional development program to make recordings, and they made beautiful recordings. And then with our education program, we would take literally from the people who had never been out of the hood for 30 years, are playing on Lincoln Center, Carnegie Hall, touring Europe. And to see these people just walk on stages, from being in a drink house in East Winston to playing Lugano, Switzerland, playing in front of 10,000 people and being the hit of the festival, and developing fans worldwide. was a remarkable experience, and it happened in a short amount of time. And we still see that happen today. And the one of the most wonderful things that happens was putting all these characters together. One of the hardest parts of old age is loneliness. It's like smoking a pack of cigarettes, a day. So all these disparate characters meet each other, they share each other's phone numbers, and they go home to Alabama or South Carolina or wherever they're from, and they start talking to each other, and they have a community. And then through that community, they introduced me to more artists. And so people always wondered, how is this going to exist past this? But Guitar Gabriel always said, the blues will never die. Culture never dies. This music comes from way back and has a long black river of music that's going to go on forever. Don't listen to any of that stuff. And that found out to be true. So we're still finding music, and there's not enough of me to go around to discover all the wonderful musicians that I would like to give a platform that the world could hear.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for keeping those guitars out of the pawn shop. And I've got to say that I've spent the last few weeks listening to the new Music Maker anthology, Song Keepers, which is 4 discs in a wonderful book with words provided by Georgianne Eubanks. Disc 1 is acoustic blues, disc 2 electric blues, disc 3 gospel, and disc 4 various genres. And these are people that you've worked with over the last 30 years. Some of the best music that I've heard in my life. I can't keep it out of my earbuds. Thank you so much for discovering
Wow,
these folks
that's
and
a
putting me
compliment.
on. Yeah, and all the wonderful work that you're doing. Over the last 30 years, things have changed a bit in the world. Here we are speaking on Zoom. I don't even think America Online was a thing 30 years ago quite yet. Just to provide a bit of perspective to folks who may be a bit younger out there. But Denise, how have you seen the work that you've done with the Music Maker Foundation change over the last 3 decades?
Well, I'm hoping over 30 years that we've gotten a little better at serving artists. We are a little more experienced. So, a lot has changed. I think I think the landscape out there for artists is as challenging as ever in terms of trying to be heard and in terms of making a living from your music. I think those things are just as challenging as ever. If in some ways it's almost harder. Because there's kind of so much noise out there in the world, and people and live music competes more than ever. It's harder to compete because people have so many other entertainment choices. So I think it's tough out there for musicians, and it always has been, and it's even tougher. So that remains difficult. I think so, and our kind of the need remains, and how we answer it has had to change, because there's all this technology and artists need to communicate in different ways. So there's still an enormous need for artists to have recordings of their music in order to be heard. But now there's a need for video in a much more demanding way than existed 30 years ago. Of course, the technology is more accessible, so it's more possible for us to provide that. And then the need for photography has always been there, and that has been like a steady constant. So we're providing those resources. We're able to provide, now we have a social worker that works for us. So we have much deeper resources because of all the wonderful people that help support Music Maker and support the work. I mean, and that has been, that's the reason we're still here, is because of and really our support base is individuals who think the music matters and think these artists matter. They support the work. And because of that, we're able to support these artists and provide these resources to artists. And so we're able to serve a lot more artists. Over time, we've served over 500 artists. We build really long-term relationships with artists. I was looking yesterday. In fact, one of the artists that we have been working with since I think we started in our second year. We met her in 1995 is Essie Mae Brooks, and she's 95 years old this year. She's going to be 95 this summer. So, we build really long-term relationships with some artists. So we're in it for the long haul because, these artists are in it for the long haul. This is a lifelong commitment they have to the music. And so we really, really work with them and stick with them, and they stick with us. And so, we are kind of working as they are kind of front office for them in a lot of ways, and they're a conduit to the world. And so we keep changing with technology. And so what we do changes, and what we're able to do, our resources are greater. And so, as we're able to do more, we do more, and our staff is certainly growing. In the early days for us, it was, a sheer volunteer effort. And Tim would make sure that, as he worked as a contract producer and stuff for other labels in the early years, that, Music Maker would benefit. And over time, really since 2000, we've, dedicated a full-time effort to Music Maker, both of us. And then we were able to bring on staff. And so now there's, 4 of us full-time, and then 3 other part-time people, and then our board. I mean, so we just have much deeper resources that we can offer artists. And so hopefully we do a lot more. And then, so that's how things have changed. But a lot of actually the actual programs, the sustenance program is really the same idea. Those needs are still there. Still a lot of traditional senior artists, still confronting poverty, because that being old and poor in America is not unusual for working class people. That kind of remains a constant in America. And artists wanting to perform and connect with people directly, that is still important to our work. So our performance program remains, and then the importance to document this work for posterity, for future generations, and to educate the American public about our musical traditions, through exhibits, and books and other, documentation, online documentation, and our archive at the Southern Folklife at UNC, the collection at UNC, all that permanent documentation, all of that remains core to our work. And so those programs remain intact.
Absolutely. You're in it for the long term. The blues never dies. And we're here speaking on Zoom, but we look a little bit like the Brady Bunch here, which is just to say, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I'm sure. Well, thank you so much for that answer, Denise. This question can be for both of you, and maybe Tim, you can answer first. What are your favorite current projects you're working on, or if not your favorite, what is a notable project that you're working on now that you would like to call attention to?
Well, for the, in the pandemic, in 2013, I met Freeman Vines and we did a wonderful work called The Hanging Tree Guitars in his book. And during lockdown, we bought a building in a little town about an hour and a half east of here in the town of Fountain, North Carolina. We bought him an artist studio. And then Freeman had the idea of, why doesn't Music Maker get more buildings down in Fountain? Because we did 5 records with down there with the Glorifying Vines. We did Sacred Soul of North Carolina, Johnny Ray Daniels, Faith and Harmony, the Dedicated Men of Zion, and there's so many other artists down there. And so it was very affordable. So we bought 3 storefronts, and for the last year, I've been in construction mode. And Freeman's been building guitars and building an international audience. People from Europe and throughout America have been visiting him. There's a photography studio that is built, and in May we'll be opening a recording studio. And this is what goes back to what Denise is saying, providing services for our artists. This is not like an open studio for the public, this is like so producers can come and make really well-crafted studio records for music maker artists and walk over to next door, make beautiful photographs and videos so they can be seen and heard and documented. In May, we're bringing up Ernest Guitar Roy from Mississippi and Jimbo Mathis from the Squirrel Nut Zippers and Bruce Watson, a great producer from Fat Possum Records, and we're gonna make a wonderful record for this artist, and then we'll be making lots of records down there. So I'm excited about it. Here's our shirt.
Nice.
Everyone wants to see our shirt, but anyway, I'm excited that'll be done, and I'll be that glad to be out of the construction trade. That's been a real bear, but I've been really thankful for the support. We've raised a great amount of money to start. Denise can talk about the foundation and more money that we have to raise for that. Denise,
Yeah. Where would someone go who is interested in the work that Music Maker Foundation is doing if they want to support the wonderful artists that the foundation is supporting? Where can they find us?
It's so easy. You just go to musicmaker.org and hit any of the links to the donate button, and it's on every page, and it's so easy to make your support there. And we're so appreciative, and it's all tax deductible, and we're just so appreciative of all the support. There's just been so many wonderful people that have helped us on this journey. Well over 10,000 people have supported us along the way. And
let's do a shout out for the Eichholz Foundation. Denise, I want to.
yeah, and so we're really excited. Particularly this journey in Fountain, the Robert and Mercedes Eichholz Foundation found out about our work through some of their family members who live locally, but met us in Telluride at our shows there at the Blues and Brews Festival, and they shared our vision for support of artists and in small towns in Eastern North Carolina, and wanting to bring resources to these artists and those communities. It's a tier 1 county. There's just not a lot of resources for folks there, and saw that vision. And so what we're trying to do there is not only build these buildings, but provide the programming resources so that not only we have the building there and the equipment, but be able to provide programming money. And this means being able to pay the artists a fee so they can take days off of work, to be able to pay the recording engineer, to be able to buy the artists a supply of CDs so they can sell them at gigs. And so this is the full package. And so we are over to build the studios out, and we're doing this. We've done it on a real shoestring budget. That's why Tim's been our general contractor for the past year. So to do the renovation on the studios and build it out, we're doing this for just over $1 million for 3 years to be able to do about 12 records and produce the videos over the next 3 years. We would like to it's just over $1 million, and we in the Robert and Mercedes Eichholz Foundation provided 450. They've committed to $450,000 of funding over the next 3 years. They did a 4-year grant. Other people have brought funding. At this point, we need about $400,000 more that we're still trying to raise over the next 3 years. So we would love people's support on this project, but we have more than half the funding already. So we're so excited. And we want to thank the other donors that have come in and supported this project. It's really exciting, and it's going to bring a lot of resources to such well-deserving talent.
Yeah, thank you
So
so
we'll
much.
also be bringing other music maker artists from around the South to Fountain, as well as serving the local artists in that community.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, donors. Thank you to the Eichels Foundation. And if you're checking us out here, we hope that you'll navigate your browser over to musicmaker.org and consider supporting us in the future. Tim and Denise, thank you so much. Congratulations for 30 years, and here's to the next 30 years. Yes, Denise.
I just want to invite everybody to please try and come and celebrate with us this year. We have so many wonderful events. We have the 10th anniversary season of our Freight Train Blues series coming up in Carborough this spring. That'll be running every Friday night from May 3rd to June 21st, from 6:30 to 8:30 every Friday night. You can check that out at musicmaker.org or freighttrainblues.com. And then this fall, October 10 to 12, we're going to be celebrating with Duke Arts in Durham, North Carolina. We're going to be making a special announcement, but it's going to be a really special night on October 10th. Don't tell anybody, but Jackson Browne and Taj Mahal are coming, and a bunch of Music Maker Next Gen artists. It's going to be awesome. So please come celebrate with us. And then we're going to be having a family and friends party the next night and a fountain field trip on Saturday. It's going to be a big time. So please come to Durham and celebrate with us. And we will have more information out on that within the next month or so. So keep your eyes peeled and come party with us, and email us in the meantime if you need more details.
That's fantastic. Well, whether we see you in Carborough and Telluride and Durham, Mississippi, Raleigh, or anywhere else in the world, we look forward to seeing everyone out there. Please head over to musicmaker.org, sign up for the newsletter, and keep updated on the latest happenings. Tim, Denise, thank you so much.
Thanks, Jason. We're so glad you're here.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.